ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखावितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we'll start with a sloka recitation. So Ashish Tiwari, you may also record this on your laptop. You can send devotees, those who are absent today.
Okay, sure, bro.
अपरेयामि तस्त्वा अन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परां जीवभूता महाबाहो येदं धार्यते जगत् दैवी हेषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते बहुनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभ अंतकाले च मामेव स्मरन्मुक्ता कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः आब्रह्मभुवनालोका पुनरावर्तिनो अर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते राजविद्या राजगुह्यं पवित्रमिदमुत्तमं प्रत्यक्षवागमं धर्म्यं सुसुखं कर्तुमव्ययम् मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मतिस्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहं तेष्वस्थितः सततं कीर्तयन्तो मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रताः यन्नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्ता उपासते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्या यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्ति उपहृतम् अस्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदस्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मद अर्पणम् समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषो अस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवो मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, yesterday we were discussing the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It is going to end today. So, we discussed about, first we began with how Krishna is telling that Prayar Kale, remembrance of him is important and he is very easily obtainable if somebody keeps very constant remembrance on Krishna. And Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. And he mentions that one has to practice throughout his life to ultimately achieve that perfection of remembrance of Krishna at the time of death. He has to practice. So that he mentions. And then he mentions uh, how through yoga balena chaiva. So yoga balena, one can bhaktya yoga balena chaiva. How can one can fix one's mind achala? Achala. Mind is not wavering anywhere. So through yoga, one can do that, and bhakti is also required. Then he mentioned that how the between the eyebrows one has to lift the prana, and one has to meditate on the heart where Paramatma is there, and one has to speak, vibrate Om, one syllable word Om, which represents Brahman. And then this yogi has to also stop his sensory activities. He has to be fully meditating without doing anything else. So by doing this, then he can remember, he is remembering Krishna and he can leave the body like that. And then Krishna started telling about the Kevala Bhakti. So this is a Yoga Mishra Bhakti, how somebody is focusing on Krishna by the strength of yoga. And Bhakti is there. Yoga Mishra Bhakti. See, when you say Yoga Mishra Bhakti, means Bhakti is more and yoga is less. When you say Bhakti Mishra Yoga, then yoga is more and bhakti is less. Okay. When we say Karma Mishra Bhakti, means bhakti is more and karma is less. Bhakti is like a milk and karma is like a sugar in that. Okay. When we reverse the term, when you say Bhakti Mishra Karma, that means bhakti is less and karma is more. So Varnashram people generally they perform Bhakti Mishra Karma, means their bhakti is very less and karma is quite more. But this Pradhani Bhut Bhakta we are reading, there is Karma Mishra Bhakti. Their bhakti is more, karma is less. Like that. Sanishtita, Paranishtita, Nirapeksha. So Sanishtita people, they are mostly like karma is more and bhakti is less. Paranishtita and Nirapeksha. Nirapeksha has no karma only pure bhakti. And Paranishtita, karma is more little and bhakti is more. Sanishtita, karma is more, bhakti is less. So then Krishna is speaking Kevala Bhakti, that how Ananya Cheta Satatam Yoma Mismarti Nityasaha Tasyaham Sulabham Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. So I am Sulabha, very easily attainable by a person who is Ananya Cheta. His chitta is fully fixed in me, nobody else. And Ismarati Nityasaha, always remembering. And then Krishna started explaining about the spiritual world and material world difference. So anyone who goes to spiritual world, he never returns back. And anyone goes any place in material world, Brahma Lok also included. Any place one goes to in material world, he has to come back. So very clear distinction he makes. Anywhere we go in this material world, we have to come back to earthly planet. We will fall down. And I think that's why Christians, because here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not speaking about somebody doing some wrong activity and going to sinful body. So therefore, might be some Christians might have read Bhagavad Gita this part, and they might have made their philosophy that humans can only go upward; they can never go downward. But elsewhere, Krishna also says that Tamaham disitah kuran sansareshu naradhaman chipamiham ajashram asubhan. I throw them, I cast these people into hellish birth. Later he says that. So those part they might not have read. That a human can also become a demon, he can also become an animal. But here Krishna is mentioning Abrahma Bhuvana Loka. So mostly he is speaking in the terms of that somebody is performing any piety and going up, wherever he goes. If it is in the material world, he has to come back because his punya will finish. So this is So then Krishna starts speaking about the Brahma's day and night, and how long he lives. So we discussed about the pralay, nitya pralay, naimittik pralay, prakritik pralay, atyantik pralay. Okay, this yes, Balraj Prabhuji is there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yeah.
Uh, just I wanted to ask. Just tell me what is naimittik pralay?
Prabhuji, sorry, I missed last two lectures of yours. I have to
अच्छा
check.
ठीक है ओके ठीक है सरयू सावंत प्रभु इज देयर सरयू सावंत प्रभु नॉट देयर विदिता नायक
Prabhuji Mataji is actually. I'll tell you personally. She's not well, so
ओके
she
ओके
attends from there.
ओके ओके पुष्टि राधिका हाँ माता
Yes,
जी
Prabhuji. Haribol.
हाँ सो माता जी जस्ट कैन यू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज
Nine.
नैमित्तिक प्रलय
When Brahmaji sleep,
अच्छा व्हेन ब्रह्मा जी स्लीप्स ओके सो देन व्हेन ब्रह्मा जी स्लीप्स व्हाट हैपेंस दैट टाइम क्या होता है
uh, then all living entities died,
हम्म
and it happens at the end of the Brahmaji's full life. Is it right, Prabhuji?
All living entity die or some die, some remain still.
Some remain and goes to Vishnu. Sorry, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Prasanna Sita Devi Dasi Mataji. There?
Prabhuji, I'm in train, Prabhuji, so my network is not clear, but I'm still listening to the class.
Yes. So, can you answer this question? Network, I am able to hear your voice.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Naimittik Pralay, do you know?
No, no, Prabhuji.
अच्छा नो ओके ठीक है ओके सौम्य माता जी
Uh, Prabhuji, at the end of the day of Brahma, this pralay happens, and all the living beings they they are in sleep, and they all enter into the say Mahatattva or Mahavishnu's body.
महातत्व यही तो वही तो डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि महातत्व में जाना ही नहीं है आपने महत्व में पहुंचा दिया हमको वही तो आचार्य लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे अव्यक्तात् का मतलब महातत्व नहीं है वो ब्रह्मा का बॉडी है अव्यक्त लिविंग एंटिटी बिकम्स अव्यक्त when Brahma sleeps but then that time he goes to the body of Brahma till the Swarga lok water fills up and everybody dies and then in their subtle body they go to the body of Brahma or the lotus on which Brahma is sitting. Okay, that is called Naimittik Pralay and that remains there till Brahma wakes up. It means 1000 Chatur Yuga. 1000 Chatur Yuga, Satyug, Dwapar, Treta, Kali multiplied by 1000. This much time, these all living entity remain there, like sleeping in the body of Brahma or lotus. So okay, so please hear attentively. So then, so these four pralay. Nitya means everyday birth and death is happening. Naimittik means Brahmas when he sleep. And then Prakritik means Brahma when he dies. Atyantik means when living entity gets liberated from this world. So then this is called four pralay. So then, Sahasrayuga Paryantam Atmana Kavayo Vidhu. So like that. And then Krishna started explaining, see Arjuna, there is this spiritual world is there. So this material world is also avyakta. When Brahma dies, it becomes avyakta. It goes into प्रधान, गायब हो जाता है पूरा मटेरियल वर्ल्ड. जैसे ब्रह्मा खत्म होते हैं, महाविष्णु के बॉडी में मटेरियल चला जाता है, यानी प्रधान में गया, अब दिखेगा नहीं. Then again, once Mahavishnu then breathes out, then universe start forming and coming out. Then Brahma is created from the navel of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So material world also goes through this transformation of Vyakta, Avyakta. But he says, but there is spiritual world, but that is differently Avyakta. That is always Avyakta. You cannot see only with your eyes, Arjuna. Material eyes you cannot see. So always Avyakta. And there are many varieties also in the spiritual world. So means there is not like Brahman. He's not saying it's a Brahman. Avyakto akshara iti uktas tam ahu paramam gatim. अव्यक्त उसको बोलते हैं, अक्षर बोलते हैं उसको. वो परमाम गति में यत प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ति तद धाम परम मम. That somebody achieves never comes back. So after explaining that how spiritual world exists and there is a avyakta dham, akshar dham, and nobody returns back after going there, then Krishna starts explaining about the time when yogi has to leave the body to attain this avyakta dham, akshar dham, or to attain this devi dham. देवी धाम में कहीं भी जाना है, ऊपर जाना है, स्वर्ग जाना है, महर लोक, जन लोक, तप लोक, ब्रह्म लोक. So then two path. One path he has to return back to same place from where he performed tapasya, means earthly planet. Or another path is he has to get out from here, material world, and go to spiritual world. So the two paths are mentioned by Krishna. So one is not returning, other is returning. Also, we discussed that if somebody does not continue his bhakti, wherever he goes, he falls down. He falls down actually. So then you can say, like we discussed yesterday, if Brahma does not perform bhakti, then at the end of his life, he will be again, next life he will be born in a lower birth, means lower than Brahma. Some devata he may be born according to his karma, whatever. In the similar way, somebody is devata, and if his punya goes over, then where he will go? He will come down to human platform. क्योंकि उसने कुछ किया ही नहीं है. Nothing he has done. So those who understand, I am going up, let me continue there also, then I will go more up, then more up, more up, then this is a Karma Mukti Yoga, and he will be continuing up. So that is okay. At the end of the Brahma's life, he will go to spiritual world with Brahma. But if he does not continue, he will fall down. So okay, so this is there. So we read this thing. Yes. So Kalam, we were discussing that Kalam is a path and also the deity of Kala. Both Acharya mentions differently. The path which is followed by yogi to attain his destination after death, that has to be described. Yatra Kale Anavrittim means no return. अनावृत्तिम मतलब कोई रिटर्न नहीं होना. आवृत्तिम मतलब रिटर्न. तो दो पाथ हैं, एक आवृत्ति होती है और एक अनावृत्तिम. ठीक है. तो यत्र काले त्व अनावृत्तिम आवृत्तिम चैव योगिना. योगी का दो पाथ होता है शरीर छोड़ने का, जिसमें एक में आवृत होना पड़ता है, उसको आना पड़ता है, और एक में अनावृत्तिम. अनावृत्तिम ही शब्दात, वी हैव हर्ड दिस इज वैदिक स्टेटमेंट. अनावृत्तिम ही शब्दात. Through Sabda, this material world manifests. Sabda, sound. From sound, this material world manifests. We hear that Bible says that Jesus said in Bible that God said, "Let there be earth," and there was earth. So God spoke, and the creation was done. But we know in more detail in our Vedic literature, Bhagavatam, that God impregnated the material nature with living entities and Kala Sakti. And material nature had three gunas in equilibrium. But as soon as the Kala entered and Jiva entered, the equilibrium of the three modes got disturbed, because then Jiva is desiring some enjoyment, some kind of body, and so then that Prakriti has to change into Mahatattva, and then Jiva is desiring more. So his ignorance is affecting that Mahatattva, and so the false ego reacts with the Tamoguna. Then what are formed? Our senses are formed. Our not senses. This Panch Mahabhut, the gross elements are formed. Panch Mahabhut are formed. When the false ego reacts with the passion, then our senses are formed, intelligence are formed. When false ego reacts with the mode of goodness, then mind is formed. So in this way the creation happens, because the jiva is agitating the material nature. In the womb of material nature, he is agitating. And so the false ego reacts with the modes, and then different things are created. This is called sarga, primary creation, done through the Lord's help. आफ्टर दिस इज डन, ब्रह्मा इज बॉर्न. उसके बाद ब्रह्मा का जन्म होता है, और फिर ब्रह्मा सृष्टि में 14 प्लैनेट बनाते हैं, और फिर वहां पे जीवात्मा को भेजते हैं पैदा करके. तो उसको बोलते हैं विसर्ग. दैट इज सेकेंडरी क्रिएशन. सो फर्स्ट गॉड हैज टू गिव द रॉ मटेरियल्स, दैट इज कॉल्ड सर्गा, एंड ब्रह्मा हैज टू position those living entity according to their karma, giving them body, giving them facility to live there. That is the visarga. So Brahma is a secondary creator. He is not a primary creator. And he is also the manager. After everything happens, he has to manage the soul. So we know in our scriptures these things are given in good detail, where Bible they are quite short. So anavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah prayata yanti tam kalam vakshyami bharatasam. I am going to tell you now. I will describe you what are those kala. वो कौन सा काल है जिसमें आवृत्ति होती है और अनावृत्ति होती है, मैं आपको बताऊंगा. So okay, Ashish Prabhu, you can read the translation. So this we read yesterday. Agnir Jyotir aha suklaha sanmasa uttarayanam tatra prayata gachanti brahma vido jana. This we have read, no need to read. So this is a light, the path of light. If somebody leaves the body in the path of light, तो लाइट से चालू हो रहा है पाथ, तब वो वापस नहीं आएगा. यहाँ पे लिखा है तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म विदो, ब्रह्म विदो जना. तो वो ब्रह्म को प्राप्त कर लेता है. ठीक है, he knows, he goes to the Brahma.
I have a question. So, is it like anyone who passes his body during this time does not come back, or
Yesterday we discussed. Now I will ask the same question to you. Yes. कल बताया था मैंने. कौन बताएगा इसका आंसर? कल डिस्कस किया था हमने. कोई भी बॉडी छोड़ेगा, प्रभुपाद ने भी बोला है, लेकिन एक एक कंडीशन क्या हमने कल डिस्कस किया था, कौन बताएगा? हाँ, यस माता जी.
क्योंकि आई गेस कि डिवोटीज के लिए ये सब जरूरी नहीं है.
नहीं, ये प्रभु जी ने अभी जो क्वेश्चन पूछा है कि कोई भी व्यक्ति इस समय पे छोड़ेगा बॉडी तो ब्राह्मण को प्राप्त करेगा कि नहीं? डिवोटी छोड़िए, डिवोटी अलग है. एनीबडी.
I just remember that we discussed Bhishma Dev, that why he choose Uttarayan time to leave his body.
Answer is here. Brahma Vido. He must be knowing the Brahman. Then only he will attain. Means he must be knowing the Vedic literatures, the Brahman, कहाँ जाना है. ये इतना blindly नहीं हो सकता. अगर कोई मर गया उस समय पे और उसको ब्राह्मण पता होना चाहिए कि ब्राह्मण एग्जिस्ट करता है, and then ब्रह्म विदो, जो ब्रह्मन को जानता है वहां पे वो पहुंच जाएगा। अगर वो इस समय पे बॉडी छोड़ा, एक्सीडेंटली भी छोड़ेगा कोई बात नहीं, पहुंच जाएगा वो। तो ब्रह्म विदो, ही शुड बी नोइंग अबाउट द ब्रह्मन, हु नोज द एब्सोल्यूट, इट्स मेंशन ना, हु नोज द एब्सोल्यूट। ब्रह्म विदा मतलब जो एब्सोल्यूट को जानता है, वो इस समय पे बॉडी छोड़ेगा तो एब्सोल्यूट तक पहुंच जाएगा। अभी कलयुग में वो ब्राह्मण क्या जानेगा, जो भक्त नहीं है उसको तो भूल ही जाओ, तो फिर वो तो छोड़ के भी वापस आना पड़ेगा उसको, क्योंकि उसको मिलेगा ही नहीं। लाइक इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट wherever one goes, Krishna mentions your bhava is important, what bhava you are remembering, ठीक है। So if that person accidentally also leaves, and he should have desire actually that I want to go to Brahman, eh? And he leaves at that time, accidentally भी हो गया, चलो जो भी हो गया, तो पहुंच जाएगा उधर। लेकिन अगर उसको ब्राह्मण का ज्ञान भी नहीं है, इच्छा भी नहीं है, तो कैसे जाएगा? लॉर्ड विल नॉट टेक हिम जस्ट लाइक दैट। So therefore, in spiritual sense, placement does not happen abruptly. प्लेसमेंट होने के लिए प्रॉपर कुछ तो चाहिए, नॉलेज, समथिंग यू मस्ट हैव प्रैक्टिस। ठीक है। So then we read that 12 deities are there before, so these 12 deities. Yes Mataji?
हाँ प्रभु जी, मुझे पूछना था कि ये मायावादी की तरह होते हैं क्या? मतलब वो एट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ दे रिमेम्बर ओनली ब्रह्मन एंड दे नोज ब्रह्मन एंड गो टू द ब्रह्मन।
No. Mayavadis, they cannot go only. Mayavadis, they are Krishna aparadhi. Anybody who has aparadh in his devotion, actually, anybody who has aparadh in his devotion, other than the bhakta path, means the kevala bhakti path, other than this, anybody who has aparadh in devotion, they will not attain, because they don't have much knowledge of to devotion, but they have done aparadh. So their devotion should be free from aparadh, first thing. In case of a kevala bhakti person, even though he has aparadh, he knows that I don't want to go to any place Brahman, I want to practice bhakti once again. So he may be born again as a devotee. Krishna will give him opportunity to, because his desire is like that. He does not want to go to Brahman, like that. So again, even though he has aparadh, he will again be born as a devotee and he will clear his aparadh. But other people, those who are going to attain their destination, but they have aparadh in bhakti, they will not attain. Bhakti should be free from aparadh. Now the Mayavadis, they are full aparadhi. तो फिर वो तो कोई चांसेस ही नहीं है. They don't accept that God has any form. So this Brahmavadi means what? This Brahmavadi, he understands there is a Paramatma and there is a Bhagwan, but he is much attached to Brahman form. The reason is he has Brahman Guru. So that Brahman Guru has taught him very much attraction towards Brahman. And that is why it's like that. Actually, we find in India so many Brahmanas, they are impersonalist actually. So many Brahmanas. Especially after Shankaracharya, many became more impersonalist. So it's like that. So Mayavadi, somebody is doing aparadh, that Krishna has no form, and he is Nirakar only, there is no Akar. Or whatever Vedas are saying Akar, that is a false, that has to be interpreted properly. तो वो तो नहीं जाएंगे, वो तो पहले ही गिर गए. And Prabhupada says they become trees in next life because they are doing aparadh. वो पेड़ बन जाते हैं. They don't go. So now these 12 deities are mentioned. The deities of light, day, waxing, fortnight, 6 months leading to summer, means this is Uttarayan. Year, air, sun, moon, lightning, water, Indra, Brahma. ये 12 डीटीज उस आत्मा को लेके जाते हैं ब्रह्मन तक, एक एक करके. ही इज हैंडेड ओवर. सो वी कैन सी दीज पर्सनैलिटीज आर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन मेकिंग वन रीच टू सर्टेन डेस्टिनेशन. कौन कौन? लाइट की देवता, लाइट का देवता, फिर डे का देवता है. जैसे कोई मरता है ना, अभी हमें पता नहीं लगता है कि अरे लाइट, अब जैसे डे का भी देवता है, somebody is there. फिर वैक्सिंग फोर्टनाइट, उसका भी देवता है. फिर उत्तरायण का भी. ईयर का, हवा का, सन का। हमें ये पता है कि सन का है देवता, वायुदेव हवा के, सूर्यदेव, चंद्रदेव, बट ये सब भी ध्यान देना होगा कि लाइटनिंग का भी देवता है, जो बिजली कड़कता है वो भी उसका भी देवता है। और फिर पानी का तो वरुण देव, इंद्रदेव, ब्रह्मदेव। दिस इज लाइक दैट, मीन्स नो बडी लीव्स दिस वर्ल्ड विदाउट नॉलेज ऑफ समवन। अरे कहाँ चला गया, निकल गया क्या? नहीं बाबा, वो उसको लेके जाया जाएगा, एक एक करके हो जाएगा। Just imagine somebody do not believe only that there is Indra, there is Brahma, there is water. He becomes confused when he goes there. Well, hey, what you are doing with me? Hey, we are taking you ahead. Who are you? मतलब आज इतना बड़ा इग्नोरेंस है, तो ये लोगों को मिलने वाला है क्या ये सब चीजें? जब तक वो व्यक्ति जानेगा नहीं कि भाई सूर्य का देवता है, चंद्र का देवता है, how he will respect that personality, how he will know about that personality, and do we think that he can go like that in ignorance? He can go to Brahman? इतना आसान है क्या जाना? आज हम अगर स्कूलों में ये सब नहीं पढ़ाते, इसलिए प्रभुपाद वेरी बोल्डली बोलते हैं कि सभी लोग हेल में जाने वाले हैं कलयुग में, बिकॉज किसी को कुछ पता नहीं है, वैदिक लिटरेचर के बारे में कुछ नॉलेज नहीं। Even that much also, like Krishna says, Sardharman Parityajya Mamekam. If some devotee may desire also to go somewhere in this planetary system, but he has faith through Vedic literature that moon का देवता है, देखा नहीं है ठीक है, but moon का देवता होता है। When he goes to moon देवता, he offer obeisances to moon देवता, eh? Yes, at least he accepts that. That much is also okay. Then he is handed over next. धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चन्द्रामसं ज्योतिर्योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते।
Mystics who passes away from this world during the smoke, the the fourth night of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back.
स्पेशली इंडिया के हिसाब से ठंडी के टाइम पे, तो जब ठंडी के टाइम मतलब जनवरी महीने से पहले, और ये चालू हो जाएगा आपका आई थिंक अगस्त के आगे से है, तो मतलब 6 मंथ का डिवीजन है अपना। मकर संक्रांति से 6 महीना जो कि जनवरी हो गया, जनवरी, फरवरी, मार्च, अप्रैल, मई, जून, मीन्स जून हो गया, जून तक उत्तरायण है। देन जुलाई, अगस्त, सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर। जुलाई और अगस्त के साइड से वो क्या हो गया, दक्षिणायन चालू हो गया। सो नाउ दक्षिणायन इज गोइंग ऑन। सो नाउ within that period if somebody leaves body, and that also it's mentioned smoke के टाइम पे, नाइट के टाइम पे, fortnight means of waning moon means शुक्ल पक्ष, सॉरी कृष्ण पक्ष, नॉट शुक्ल, कृष्ण पक्ष में कोई शरीर छोड़ेगा, नाइट में, स्मोक के टाइम पे, दक्षिणायन में, and then when the sun passes to the, that is okay, then he comes back, means he has not gone to Brahman, he will come back. So here it's mentioned that in third canto Kapil Dev section, Kapil Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attain to the moon at death. क्या mention है? Who are expert in fruitive activity and sacrificial method, they attain to moon at death. These elevated souls live on moon for 10,000 years by demigod calculation. It is not by our calculation, it's by demigod. Enjoy life by drinking somras. They eventually return to earth. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings, though they may not be perceived by the gross senses. This verse describes the path of return taken by Karmi. Smoke indicates the deity of smoke, and similarly the night indicates the deity of night. Okay, this is there. The Karma Yogi who goes on the path represented by these devatas attains Swarga, indicated by the word Chandramasam Jyoti. Having enjoyed there, he returns. So basically, Karma Yogi, here it is said, because we know that The Ashtang yogi who is trying to enjoy, then he can go there. But mostly it's mentioned those are fruitive active people, fruitive activity, those who do they go there. जो भी sacrifice करता है कर्म कांड के वो जाता है. Now the Lord speaks of the path of return. In the previous verse, the smoke, night, waning, all these things are okay. So there are 8 devatas are there. In anavritti, no return, there are 12 devatas. In आवृत्ति there are 8 devatas, 8 devatas है जो कि लेके जाते हैं उसको. तो 8 devatas कौन से हैं? Deities of smoke, night, waning, fortnight, winter, solstice, और this is a उत्तर दक्षिणायन, ईयर, पितृलोक, ईथर एंड मून. ये देवता अपॉइंट किए गए हैं किसके लिए? Now see, these are different devatas, isn't it? They are not the same one, correct? They are not those same one, 12 one, 12 वाले नहीं है, ये अलग अलग है देवता. उसमें वायु थे, सूर्य थे, पानी था, इंद्र था, लाइटनिंग थे. यहाँ पे क्या है? पितृलोक है, ईथर है, मून है, डिफरेंट देवताज हैं. ऐसा है. तो डिफरेंट देवताज अलग जगह पे लेके जाते हैं. इट मीन्स दिस पर्सन कैन ट्रैवल इन द सेम यूनिवर्स व्हेन दे आर टेकन बाय दीज. See, it's mentioned from winter devata they go to the Pittaloka, from there to ether, from ether to the deity of the moon, King Soma. They become food for the deities and the deities enjoy them. Having exhausted their punya, there they return to the earth on the path. They become food for the deities. What is this? Okay, this is something. ठीक है. शुक्ल कृष्णे गति हेते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया याति अनावृत्तम अव्यया आवर्तते पुनः.
According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world. One is light and one is darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back. But when one passes in darkness, he is dead.
So here Krishna is summarizing it. What he said in 2 shloka above. There is a anavritti and there is a avartate और आवृत्ति. 2 पाथ हैं. ठीक है. जो शुक्ल पक्ष में छोड़ेगा शरीर, शुक्ल कृष्णे गति, शुक्ल में जो छोड़ेगा वो वापस नहीं आएगा. मीन शुक्ल और बाकी चीज भी होना चाहिए. अच्छा हाँ, अगर मैचिंग ऐसा हो गया कि भाई दिन में छोड़ रहा है लेकिन शुक्ल पक्ष में छोड़ रहा है, सॉरी दिन में छोड़ रहा है कृष्ण पक्ष में छोड़ रहा है, फिर क्या होगा? तो वो तो बताया नहीं है इधर. तो उसमें पता नहीं क्या मिक्सचर किया जाएगा. वी डू नॉट नो. बट कृष्ण इज टेलिंग दिस वन पाथ कि अगर जाना है तो ऐसा. इसका मतलब अब कृष्ण भगवान वो पाथ नहीं बता रहे, मतलब उससे मिलना फिर मुश्किल है उसको. मीन्स इवन द कर्म योगी आल्सो, इफ ही हैज टू गो टू मून प्लैनेट देन ही हैज टू फॉलो दिस शेड्यूल. इफ ही डज नॉट फॉलो देन ही मे नॉट गो टू मून प्लैनेट. नॉट पॉसिबल, because Krishna has given 2 mark, this mark, that mark. If you want to go to your moon planet or any other planet you want, leave this body in this time. If you want to don't return, then go out. And there can be more understanding about it. So here Bhagavad Gita gives a small description about it. And in Bhagavatam it's not much spoken about it. इसके बारे में बोला नहीं है Bhagavatam में. One has to read the other scriptures to know more. The path of light is called Shukla, white, which consists of enlightenment. The path of smoke is called Krishna, dark, which is devoid of enlightenment. Basically, this is a pravritti, marg, nivritti. You can say that pravritti means path of devoid of enlightenment. That is pravritti. And nivritti means path of detachment or path of enlightenment. It goes directly from this world. So path of enlightenment, path of devoid of enlightenment. नयते श्रुति पार्थ नयते श्रुति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भव अर्जुन.
Although the devotee knows these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, he always fixed. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
Fixed in devotion. Okay. See, sometime in short it is also told Dhuma, Dhumo, Ratris Tatha Krishna. The path of smoke and path of light. Agni, Jyotir. So path of Jyoti, path of Agni or path of Dhumo. In short, sometime it is said is path of smoke, path of light, Avritti, Anavrittim. Here then Krishna says that, but for a devotee, the devotee knows these two paths, he knows that, but he is never bewildered. He always fixed in devotion. Naite Sriti Partha Janan Yogi Muhyati Kaschana. Even if he knows the devotee of the Lord is never bewildered. Tasma Sarveshu Kalesi Yoga Yukta Bhava Arjuna. Therefore Arjuna Yoga Yukta में सरो. Devotee के लिए जरूरत नहीं है. So Prabhupada is saying that he is telling about the devotion service. That here a devotee should not worry that whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. The devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness. He should know that the concern over either of the two paths is troublesome. The best way is to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness and to be always devoted in his service. This will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain and direct. Safe, certain and direct. The word Yoga Yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness in all his activities. Srila Rupa Goswami advises anasaktasya vishayan vyatharam upayunjita. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one accepts perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his passage to the supreme abode is guaranteed by devotional service. So, what is the Yukta Vairagya? Prabhupada says that Yukta Vairagya is important because we are not only using those things which are directly attached to Krishna, but we are using many things which are not directly attached to Krishna. So that time one has to utilize them with the Vairagya. What is that Vairagya? In short term, can be understood like the devotee thinks that this thing does not belong to me, this belongs to Krishna. And I have to use it in service of Krishna. That is in gist you have to understand. So like how does it happen? For brahmachari, he is in temple, he will use the property of temple, but he will understand it's a temple's property and I am using it for seva. For grahastha, he will keep deities in house and then he will orient everything in connection with deities, everything. So then he will always understand that this home belongs to my deity and I have to feed my deities, I have to serve my deities. So in this way, slowly he will also develop attachment for deities and everything becomes devoted in service of deities. Like Prabhupada's father, he used to do arti at 12 midnight after coming from his job. So because he had a practice of doing arti, he might not be able to do early morning because he was coming late and sleeping late. So Prabhupada used to hear ding dong, ding dong. So he used to do that. It means he's continuing his duty. So this is what is spoken. Means keep Krishna in center and then utilize everything in his service. That is called Yukta Vairagya. This slowly it happens. When we start serving Krishna, everything becomes devoted in his service. हो जाता है, धीरे धीरे होता है. But one has to also be strict, not become loose in practice. Like one should eat prasadam, not eat outside. Sometimes it's okay, but not regularly, frequently breaking such rules, not good. So, Yukta Vairagya. So we do not follow Susk Vairagya, we follow Yukta Vairagya. Susk Vairagya means no assimilation, only renunciation. कुछ इकट्ठा ही नहीं रखना है, कुछ रखना ही नहीं है घर में, या आश्रम का कोई चीज यूज ही नहीं करना है, नहीं वो गड़बड़ है. शुष्क वैराग्य नहीं, युक्त वैराग्य. And then Prabhupada says that therefore the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions. He becomes, one should be unattached to the material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. Be detached and try to do the service. Now this is last sloka. Vedeshu yaggeshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punyaphalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upayati chadyam.
The person who accepts the path of devotional services is not bereft of results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical or and protective activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these. At the end, reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Now Krishna, after mentioning the two paths, he summarizes that there are path of light, there is a path of darkness, and then he mentions the devotee should not worry. Arjuna, you should not worry about these two paths. This is not meant for you. Only you know this. I have just told you for information. And your practice should be always Krishna consciousness. Now Krishna is mentioning again the difference between these two paths, in the sense one path is a Vedic path, other path is Krishna conscious path. So Vedeshu Yaggeshu, in the Vedas there are Yagyas, there are Tapa, there are Dana, there are Punya, all these things are there. अत्येति सर्व तत्सर्वम इदम विदित्वा, ये जानो ये सब चीज है वेदों में. लेकिन योगी परम स्थान उपैति चाद्यम. Like Prabhupada is saying here, simply by performing devotional service he attains all these at the end of, means जितने भी वैदिक ये सब जो चीजें बताएं कि ये करना है वो करना है, इससे करके आप उतना ऊपर उठोगे, फिर एक और करोगे उस और ऊपर उठोगे, फिर और ऐसे, लाइक दैट gradual elevation in the Vedic path, it's there. You do something, you come here. You do something, you come here. You do something, you come here. So, but you do bhakti, you come directly above. That is what said here. One stroke method of devotional service. So one is called stair method, one is called elevator method. So elevator method is bhakti. Directly take up to lift, elevator, and go to highest destination. That is called bhakti. Stair method means nowadays nobody likes to climb on stairs. it seems that everybody is bhakti lagwar. Because the reality is nobody has strength that much and their homes are so high and so high. वहां तक पहुंचना बहुत मुश्किल है. Yes, क्या question है?
Prabhuji, in that sloka, it's mentioning yogi param. Yogi param means like not a bhaktas are only yogis.
Correct. So the yogi param, the devotee, here Prabhupada says the devotee. Actually, that's why bhaktyamam abhijanati. तो यहाँ पे भगवान ने पिछले वर्ष में बोला अर्जुन के बारे में, और फिर भगवान बता रहे कि जितने भी ये योग सेक्रीफाइसेस हैं, यज्ञ हैं, वैदिक स्टडी है, all these things whatever are there, they will give some perfection. So first Krishna told Arjuna there are so many ways to attain this thing, to attain this thing, and Vedas mention these things, but for you it's not there. For you param sthanam upayati chadyam, you can attain that abode immediately. And now here the word tam is, or Arjuna is not used, correct, but acharyas are, all acharyas are mentioning that way. Literally अगर आप देखोगे तो फिर बोलोगे कि प्रभु जी पूरा योगी का बात हो रहा था, मे बी ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द योगी, बट इफ इज टॉकिंग अबाउट योगी देन लिटरली आल्सो इज नॉट फिटिंग, क्योंकि योगी सब कुछ करना चाहिए ना, फिर उसको भी कर्मयोगी है तो सब करेगा, तब जाके वो लास्ट में भगवान को जाना चाहेगा तो फिर उसको अष्टांग योग करके निकलना पड़ेगा यहाँ से, जैसे हमने सीखा था पहले, है ना. So, is it that Krishna is telling that yogi has to also do that yagya, tapa, दान? ये तो बोला ही नहीं पूरे चैप्टर में. भगवान ने क्या बोला? भगवान ने बोला भाई निकलने का तरीका ऐसा है. अभी भगवान ये क्या एडिशनल बोल रहे हैं कि भाई योगी को ऐसे करना पड़ेगा? इसका मतलब क्या बता रहे हैं? दो पाथ बता रहे हैं. एक वैदिक पाथ है और एक कृष्णा कॉन्शियस पाथ है. तो ये कृष्णा कॉन्शियस पाथ में डायरेक्ट चला जाता है और वैदिक पाथ में ग्रेजुअल एलिवेशन होता है. ये भगवान बता रहे हैं. We'll read this purport. This verse is summation of the 7th and 8th chapter. This verse है, दोनों का समरी है ये वाला verse, which particularly deals with the Krishna consciousness and bhakti. One has to study the Vedas under guidance of a spiritual master. Now Prabhupada explains the whole how the Vedas formulate the process of gradual elevation. कैसे वेदास में बताते हैं. So one has to study the Vedas under guidance of a spiritual master and undergo many austerities and penances while living under his care. A brahmachari has to live in the home of the spiritual master just like a servant, and he must beg alms from door to door and bring them to a spiritual master. He takes food only under the master's order. If the master neglects to call student for food that day, the student fasts. These are some of the Vedic principles for observing brahmacharya. After the student studies the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from the age 5 to 20, 20 साल तक जब वो पढ़ता है गुरु के आश्रम में, he becomes a man of perfect character. Study of Veda is not meant for recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. So that's why children you find nowadays, why they become unruly, cannot be controlled, because it's mentioned na, because they are not given Vedic knowledge, so their character is not formed, and when their character is not formed, they will do all mischievous activity or all not good activities, bad activities. If we simply send them to schools, then their character is not formed, and character only defines a personality basically. He will not go wrong because he is character person. He will not go wrong. If there is no character, only sent to school and then all degrees he has got, then nobody can have faith. ये क्या करेगा क्या नहीं करेगा, उसको बस पैसा कमाने के लिए पढ़ाया गया, बस उसको थोड़ी इंसान बनाया गया. इंसान तो कैरेक्टर से बनता है. तो वैदिक स्टडी वॉज देयर. सो अंडर गुरु 15 साल जब तक पढ़ता है बच्चा, तो उसको कैरेक्टर अच्छा फॉर्म हो जाता है. After training, brahmachari is allowed to enter household life and marry. When he is householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve further enlightenment. He must also give charity according to the country, time, and the candidate, discriminating among the charity in goodness, passion, ignorance, as described in Bhagavad Gita. Then, after retiring from household life, upon accepting the order of Banprastha, he undergoes severe penance, living in forest, dressing with the tree bark, not saving, etc. By carrying out the order of brahmacharya, householder life, banprastha, finally sannyas, one becomes elevated to perfectional stage of life. Some are then elevated to heavenly kingdom, and when they become even more advanced, they are liberated in the spiritual sky, either in the impersonal Brahmajyoti or in the Vaikuntha planets of Krishna. This is the path outlined by the Vedic literature. So this is what Veda Krishna is saying. This is how the elevation happens. संन्यास ले लिया, वहाँ तक पहुँच गए, उसके बाद वो हेवनली प्लैनेट में जाएंगे. दे विल टेक बर्थ. बर्थ मीन्स दे विल बी देयर, एंड देन फ्रॉम हेवनली प्लैनेट, if they are more advanced, they will perform bhakti more, then they will go up, and they will go finally to impersonal Brahma Jyoti or Krishna Lok, according to their practice. The beauty of Krishna consciousness is that by one stroke, by engaging in bhakti, one can surpass all the rituals of different orders of life. The words idam vidatva indicate that one should understand instruction given by Sri Krishna in this chapter, the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association with devotees. Chapter 7 through chapter 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 and the last 6 chapters are covering for the middle 6 chapter, which are specially protected by the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, especially this middle 6 chapter in association of devotees, then his life at once becomes glorified beyond all penances, all sacrifices, all charities, all speculation, for one can achieve the all result of these activities simply by Krishna conscious. Just see, ये जो वर्स है हमारे लिए कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये प्रभुपाद बोल रहे हैं. If one understand that Krishna consciousness, this middle 6 chapters, if you understand, which is talking about bhakti, then his life becomes glorified and he goes beyond penance, sacrifice, charities, everything. He goes beyond that. One who has a little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the 4th chapter it is stated clearly that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotee. Rahasyam hai etad uttamam. भक्तो असी में प्रिया भक्तो असी में सखा चेती रहस्यम है एतद उत्तमम. तुम आप मेरे भक्त हो, मेरे सखा हो, इसलिए तुम्हें रहस्य समझ में आएगा. One should therefore learn the Bhagavad Gita from devotee of Krishna, not from mental speculator. This is a sign of faith. One who searches for devotee unfortunately gets the devotee association. One actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. By advancement in the association of devotees, one is placed in devotional service, and this service dispels all one's misgiving about Krishna and God, and Krishna's activities from form, pastime, name, and other features. After these misgivings have been perfectly cleared away, one becomes fixed up in one's study. Then one relishes the study of Bhagavad Gita and attains the state of feeling always Krishna conscious. Just see क्या प्रभुपाद ने बोला है. जब ये सारे हमारे मिसगिविंग्स निकल जाएंगे भगवान के फॉर्म के बारे में, पास्ट टाइम के बारे में, तब हम जब बैठेंगे, तब हमारा बैठना एकदम क्या होगा, फिक्स स्टडी करेंगे. एंड देन वन रिलीसेस द भगवद गीता स्टडी. Prabhupada is saying that in advanced stage one falls completely in love with Krishna. This highest perfectional stage of life enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna Loka. So Prabhupada is adding here point that reading Bhagavad Gita will give ecstasy when we become free from our misgivings of God understanding. ठीक है. So this verse, now other Acharya is saying, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, this verse relates the result of knowing what has been explained in this chapter, surpassing atyeti all these results of other processes, the yogi possessing devotion. Note, this seems to indicate that this verse refers to Yoga Mishra Bhakta, a mere yogi without bhakti could not attain the place of Lord or even liberation. A yogi with a small amount of bhakti could attain liberation. Such yogis were described in chapter 6. A devotee with some mixture of yoga however attains salokya, which is non-material. The superiority of devotee has been previously stated, and it is made clear in this chapter as well in this chapter the supreme position of Ananya Bhakti among all the devotees indicated. So this seems that to indicate that this verse refers to Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Okay, Yoga Mishra Bhakti seems यहाँ बताया जा रहा है. तो but Baldev Vidyabhushan mentions here how does the surpasses all this, knowing the glories of me, the Lord, my devotee, mentioned in this in the chapter 7 and 8, idam viditva, by the mercy of devotee association, he considered all those activities as insignificant as grass without happiness they promised. So just see, this is to Ananya Bhakti, the Paranishtita devotee, rather than the Yoga Mishra Bhakta, since this has been last subject discussed. So just see, Baldev Vidyabhushan says this verse is spoken for Ananya Bhakta. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that it seems that, ऐसा बोलने को नहीं बोल रहे, it seems that, ऐसा लगता है लेकिन ऐसा है नहीं. तो बलदेव विद्याभूषण बोलते हैं क्लियरली कि ये जो बताया गया है कि this devotee yogi, the yogi word is used, surpasses all these things, all austerity, all sacrifices, study of the Vedas. How? By knowing the glories of me. so भगवान के ग्लोरीज को जान के. And what are those glories which are mentioned in chapter 6, 7 and 8? Idam viditva. By the mercy of devotee association, he considers all those activities tat sarvam as insignificant grass without happiness they promised. That yogi, having become devoted to me, attains my abode, which is without beginning, adyam. Okay? So basically, Krishna is talking about himself. You find in the Yog Mishra Bhakta, we did not discuss much about the glory of the Lord. Yes, we saw that he is meditating on Paramatma inside heart and reciting Om. But here it's mentioned, the devotee will know my glory and then he will see everything useless, all sacrifices, everything useless, no meaning, see, insignificant as grass. That person will attain me. It means it's a bhakti, pure, ananya bhakti. Okay, कोई क्वेश्चन है किसी को? So this last verse is a summary of both 7th chapter and 8th chapter. By knowing the 7th and 8th chapter where the Lord has spoken about his glory, and many other things he has spoken, but mainly his glory is there. So knowing those glories, especially in 7th chapter, he has mentioned how is the essence of everything, how is the source of everything, how people don't go they worship him, and those who don't worship him, those who go to demigod, those who go to, so in reference to himself he has mentioned so many things. And in 8th chapter he has answered the question of Arjuna, and what is the science of leaving the body. Basically he is talking about that science of leaving the body. And the best yogi is one who is ananya cheta satatam yomam smriti nityasaha tasyaham sulabham partha. Ananya cheta satatam nitya yukta, that is the best yogi. Basically ananya bhakta, kevala bhakta is the best yogi who leaves the body, and he for certain he will attain the Lord. Anavritti, avritti. Anavritti means no return, avritti means return. So there are two paths also we learn. ठीक है, नो क्वेश्चन, विल गो अहेड. नेक्स्ट चैप्टर.
जी मुझे एक क्वेश्चन है. जैसे कि यहाँ पे बताया अनन्य भक्त के बारे में और योग मिश्र भक्त के बारे में, तो जो भक्ति हम करते हैं उसमें हम भी तो स्क्रिप्चर्स पढ़ते हैं. लाइक उसमें मेंशन भी है कि ब्रह्मचारी जो होते हैं, ब्रह्मचारी जो होते हैं उनको गुरु के इसमें स्क्रिप्चर्स पढ़ना चाहिए. तो अगर वो हम करते तो हम क्या वो अनन्य भक्ति है कि फिर वो तो योग मिश्र भक्ति हो गई या ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति हो गई?
वो अनन्य भक्ति नहीं है. वैदिक पाथ में अनन्य भक्ति कब आता है? जब आपके जो गुरु हैं उनसे जो आपने जो ज्ञान लिया वो अनन्य भक्ति का ज्ञान होना चाहिए. लाइक कृष्णा कॉन्शियस गुरुकुल कैन आल्सो बी देयर where somebody is following the guru's dictation, but what we are discussing in Krishna conscious gurukulas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, pure bhakti, so that is ananya bhakti marg. But in most of the gurukulas in Vedic times, like you find Sand and Amar gurukul, ठीक है, वासुदेव का गुरुकुल है, और इवन सांदीपनि मुनि he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. सांदीपनि मुनि खुद ही भगवान शिव के डिवोटी थे. He was not Krishna devotee. So you find impersonalist many times. Even Durvasa Muni is also understood to be impersonalist. Durvasa Muni को भले बाद में उनको जब भगवान से मिले, अमरीश महाराज को उन्होंने थोड़ा मारने का कोशिश किया. Later he got purified. Durvasa Muni also becomes the devotee, but he was impersonalist actually. So you find many times these things like impersonalism or Brahma, because to understand Krishna is not this knowledge is not given to everyone in the Vedic path at the most. Therefore Krishna mentions that through the Vedas, Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, Vedesi Durlabham. To understand through Vedas, me, it is Durlabham. And Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. And it will be easy to understand me through my devotee. So it's like that. So the most of the Vedic followers were impersonalist. Most of the Vedic followers impersonal, because they could only understand, because only by bhakta one can know the God, भगवान. तो भक्त होना तो चाहिए ना पहले, और वो गुरुकुल भी खोलना चाहिए, नहीं तो सब इम्पर्सनलिस्ट बन जाएंगे. अभी भारत में कितने इम्पर्सनल देख सकते हो. तो ऐसा है. सो दिस वैदिक पाथ अकॉर्डिंग टू द टीचर्स एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू टीचिंग, क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं उसके हिसाब से उसको डिसाइड किया जाता है कि कौन सा गुरुकुल है. लाइक इन मनपा हियर, इवन इन पुणे, there is a gurukul in, so there is a mantra gurukul. They teach 10,000 shlokas or the verses of Rig Ved के पढ़ाते 10,000, and they take 8 years in training. And then I asked them, do you tell the meaning of those verses? They said no meaning, only रट्टाफिकेशन, केवल 8 साल तक रट्टे मारते रहो, उनको रट्टे मारने, उसको बोलते हैं मंत्र गुरुकुल. देन एक अदर गुरुकुल उसको बोलते हैं शास्त्र गुरुकुल. मीन्स उसमें आपको वेदांत पढ़ाएंगे, एंड देन यू हैव टू डू डिस्कशन, philosophical discussion, which generally Krishna conscious people do in our their preaching. So that is basically Shastra. We discuss the Shastra philosophies. So there is Mantra Gurukul, there is Shastra Gurukul. So they don't read mantras, because this mantra reading is basically for Vipras, basically those who do some yagyas. ऋग्वेद के मंत्र पढ़ के कहीं भी कोई भी संस्कार करना है, कुछ यज्ञ करना है, तो वहाँ पे इनको जरूरत पड़ता है. लेकिन जो लोग प्रीचर होते हैं उनको ये सब की जरूरत नहीं है. Preachers, they don't require to do. They need not to become Dvivedi, Ekvedi, Dvivedi, Chaturvedi, Trivedi. They need not to become. Preachers are separate. So there are different Gurukulas are there. And then Vaishnava Gurukul means then they will be teaching Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranam, Bhagavatam, all this. This is Vaishnava Gurukul. Separate. Okay, na? Okay. Yes, Mataji. क्या क्वेश्चन? श्री, yes. श्रीजी, लता, देवीदासी माताजी, some question is there?
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, what is Pitraloka? Who lives there? And
What is
who goes
Pitraloka?
there? Like,
Pitraloka.
yes, everybody. After that, everybody has to take birth and reach there. So, Pitru means the forefathers. They have to take birth again, or something like that, or reaches other planets. So, who goes to Pitraloka? Who stays there?
See,
Yes.
Pitraloka is for Pitras, those who are ancestor. So what happens when this Tarpan is done, Shraddha Tarpan is done? So when Pitra dies, then if they have sufficient punya to attain next body, they are immediately given body. If they have some pap they have done, if they have done some pap and they have to get certain, they have done some punya also and pap also, whatever, and whatever according to their desire, they want to attain first punya result, papa later, it may be possible. So then, and punya result they want to attain, but they don't have sufficient punya, then they wait for their descendants to provide them punya through श्राद्ध. तो वो लोग पितृलोक में रुक जाते हैं. बट अगर वो श्राद्ध नहीं दे रहा है नीचे का डिसेंडेंट, तो देन दे फॉल डाउन फ्रॉम पितृलोक एंड दे गो टू द नेक्स्ट डेस्टिनेशन, इधर हेलिस प्लैनेट और वॉट एवर, बिकॉज देयर उनका पुण्य हुआ नहीं, कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ. दैट्स वाई भगवद गीता व्हाट इट मेंशंस, फ्रॉम पितृलोक दे विल फॉल डाउन, द पितराज विल फॉल डाउन. इट्स मेंशन ना, नरकायेव कुलग्नाना. So it's mentioned that how the lupta pinda dako kriya, when you don't do pinda, your pitras will fall down. So where they were hanging first, they were hanging in pitralok, they were waiting for punya, क्योंकि अभी तो उनका जन्म खत्म हो गया, अभी वो कर्म नहीं कर सकते, वो शरीर नहीं उनके पास. तो then they are dependent on their descendants कि they will do some punya and offer Vishnu prasad to them, and by that they will get punya and go to the next destination. बट ये लापरवाह को पता ही नहीं है कि पुण्य क्या होता है, पाप क्या होता है। ये एमटेक कर रहा है, बीटेक कर रहा है, एमबीबीएस कर रहा है, अमेरिका जा रहा है, पिंड भूल ही गया है इसीलिए पितृ लोग आके उसको तकलीफ देते हैं। कई बार आपने सुना होगा ना, पितृ दोष है। पितृ दोष मतलब क्या है, यही लोग आके चुभाते रहते हैं उसको, बोलते हैं अरे मूर्ख, पुण्य क्यों नहीं कर रहा हमारे लिए, है हमारा क्या होगा, इसलिए वो गिर जाते। अच्छा, साल में एक ही बार बोला गया है, मतलब उनका 24 घंटा हमारा एक साल के बराबर होता है। सो इफ somebody does tarpan to pitras, then they are getting every day punya, every day they are getting punya. So like that they go ahead by the punya performed by their descendant on the earthly planet, and if they do not perform, then the पितृ दोष आ जाता है, बिकॉज पितृ ने जो गलत काम किया होगा, पितृ ने, तो एक तो पितृ खुद आके तंग करते हैं, और दूसरा चीज क्या है कि उनके जो दोष है उनके डिसेंडेंट्स पे भी लगते हैं, बिकॉज अब वो करके चले गए, मतलब क्या है, उनके डिसेंडेंट्स पे भी आता है दोष। इसलिए कभी ये पितृ भी आते हैं और तकलीफ देते हैं उसको। कई लोग ऐसा है, किसी को नींद नहीं आता है, वो आके पितृ उसको जगाते रहते हैं, ऐसा भी होता है कई। तो कई लोग बड़े बड़े यज्ञ करते हैं पितरों को शांत करने के लिए, ऐसा है। तो हाँ, so it's like that actually. There are more signs we may not know about it, but this much I know.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead. So this 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, see, these things are very confidential actually. If we have just faith in this Bhagavad Gita, na, Prabhupada had great faith. The whole preaching which Prabhupada did on Bhagavad Gita only, बड़े बड़े शास्त्रों में, मीन्स उपनिषदों में और वेदास में, खासकर पुराणास में काफ़ी ग्लोरिफिकेशन है कि जो भगवान ने जो गीता बोला है ना, वो सारे वेदों का सार है। It is a summary of all the Vedas actually, and it's a best thing. And एक आपको गीता महात्म्य, you know that in Gita Mahatma we read in the beginning, if you read Gita what will happen, if you read Gita what will happen, मतलब एक चैप्टर से क्या होगा, एक चैप्टर से so many things we can get. So we have, you can say, essence of all punya is here in Bhagavad Gita. हमें सब कुछ मिल सकता है अगर हम इसको रेगुलर भी रिसाइट करें, फेथ से भी करें, तो बहुत सारे चीज़ें ये अपने आप दूर हो जाएंगी, जो कि वेदों में काफ़ी लंबा यज्ञ करने से या अनुष्ठान करने से ख़त्म होता था। ये भगवद गीता इज सो पावरफुल। एंड अनदर थिंग इज, इफ वन डज डिवोशनल सर्विस टू लॉर्ड, देन वन आल्सो गेट्स help of Lord, Supreme Lord. One need not to worry about anything. Not that he has to not worry about his next destination, but also about his pitras, because pitra will be delivered and others will also be delivered, the family members will also be delivered. But one has to do strong bhakti, तीव्र भक्ति वन को भरोसा, फेथ के साथ भक्ति करना है, सरेंडर के साथ. Now this 9th chapter, why it is there? The 7th chapter, like the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, spoke about Karma Yoga, and the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also spoke about Karma Yoga, but more deeper sense was there. In a similar way, 7th chapter was, what is the name of the 7th chapter? The 7th chapter name was, क्या है इसका नाम? Knowledge of the Absolute. And then this chapter name is the most confidential knowledge. Same ही है, most confidential knowledge. और वो क्या है? Knowledge of the Absolute. So now the more deeper knowledge is given here. More deeper knowledge. So it means there is something less in the 7th chapter. So it is said in 7th chapter there is a more confidential knowledge is spoken. And in 9th chapter most confidential knowledge is spoken. इसलिए डीपर जा रहा है. In Bhagavad Gita, from 2nd chapter to 6th chapter, where there is mention of matter and spirit, that is called Guhya Jnanam, confidential knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 to 8, that is called Guhyatar Jnanam, more confidential knowledge, where there is a knowledge of bhakti. Knowledge of bhakti is there. In chapter 9 and even 10 also, including the knowledge of Kevala Bhakti, most confidential, Guhyatam Jnanam, where the excellence of pure devotees and Krishna's ishwar is mentioned. So that is 9th chapter, Guhyatamam Jnanam. So that is why you can see that Bhagavad Gita, 6 chapter which are protected in between, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. First 6 chapter Karma Yoga, 13 to 18 chapter Jnana Yoga, and middle 6 are Bhakti Yoga. So the Bhakti Yoga is the essence or the main object between both. And even in Bhakti Yoga, the 9 and 10 chapter are the essence. वो बहुत ही प्रमुख है, important. So we'll go ahead. So almost a similar line with the 7th chapter here also. From verse 1 to 3, Krishna glorifies the knowledge he is about to reveal. From verse 1 to 3. From 4 to 10, he speaks about Aishwarya Gyan, his relationship with the world. We saw in the same thing in 7th chapter also. Krishna first speaks about that how the samagramam, mada ashrayam. So mada ashrayam and mana asakta. Mana asakta and mada ashrayam, if somebody does, then samagramam, full knowledge of Krishna he will attain. In this first chapter, first verse also, Krishna speaks the same thing. What is the qualification of attaining the full knowledge or freedom from this material? Because knowledge has to also be in practical form. So it's mentioned that moksha se asubhat. One will immediately attain liberation by this knowledge. This is guhyatamam jnanam. Guhyatam, mentioned here, the first verse only. Guhyatamam. Guhya, guhyatara, guhyatamam. Good, better, best. ऐसा superlative degree. So then later Krishna in 7th chapter also mentions about the energies, means sweetness and greatness of himself. So there also, here also, from 4 to 10, Krishna is explaining about the jnana, aishwarya jnana, how Krishna is relating with this world. Then again 11 to 25 verse in 9th chapter, Krishna is explaining about different types of worshipper of the Lord Krishna. There also he mentioned चतुर्विदा भजन्ते मान. उधर भी मेंशन किया, इधर भी मेंशन करेंगे डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ वर्शिपर्स कौन है. And then from 26 to 34, glories of Krishna Bhakti he mentions. And there Krishna speaks about demigod worshipper, impersonalist. In contrast with his worshipper, he speaks that. ठीक है. So I hope those who are attending with video closed must be there online. The Go Charan Leela Devidasi Mata is there.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you can read translation after I read.
Okay, Prabhu.
Verses. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave jnanam vijnanam sahitam yajgyatva mokshase subhat.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence.
So this is the most confidential knowledge wala chapter hai. So now Krishna is saying, I will impart you the most confidential knowledge. Why? Why I will impart you? Because you are not envious of me. है ना. उधर भी बोला है किधर 4th चैप्टर में भी रहस्यद हे एतद उत्तमम भक्तो असी में सखा चेति. You are my devotee and you are sakha. Therefore I am explaining you transcendental knowledge, 4th chapter. And in the 7th chapter he mentions that I am giving you the process to know me fully. And he mentions because how you are qualified. So now I'm going to give you deeper knowledge. More deeper knowledge I will give, because you are non-envious. Krishna, actually, this is a criteria to understand God. Where Bhagavatam says in second verse of Bhagavatam first canto, Dharmaha projita kaito atro paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Nirmatsaranam satam. Nirmatsarana means matsar. Matsar matlab envy. Matsar. Matsarata, envy. Nirmatsarana matlab non-envious. तो धर्म प्रोजित कईतो अत्र परमो निर्मत साराम सताम means this Bhagavatam is meant for those who are free from envy, and it is throwing away all the religion which are kaitava dharma projita kaitavo atra. All projita means kicking out all such religion which are kaitava. What do you mean by kaitava dharma? Kaitava dharma means ye dharma artha kam moksha. When you do dharma, then you will have artha, then you will have sense gratification. You keep on doing for many lives, then you get frustrated, then you go for liberation. So this is kaitava dharma, where dharma is encouraging people for sense gratification. So that is not dharma actually. That is materialism only, but it is in the guise of dharma, it is going ahead. So that is kaitava dharma. So Bhagavatam does not speak about kaitava dharma.